by Night releases in 3 days, and here's all the info you need to know about the current roster. To start us off strong, we have Springtrap, the main event you're looking for. Here are his current stats, but keep in mind everything is subject to change inside of the game. He has 14 speed when walking and 24 when running, almost double. An important thing to note is that his stamina is 70, which felt a little weak when playing, so this might be changed. The reason he has 70 stamina though is because he's a unique hybrid of a trapper and a rushdown character, which is a unique type. For his swing, it does 36 damage, but if he's not holding his axe, it does 28. Yes, that is right, there's a no axe mode, which brings us to his first ability, Remnant Cleaver. For this ability, you aim your axe, and if it hits someone, it gets stuck in them and applies bleed for 15 seconds. Bear Trap is the next part of his kit, which is the trapper part, and this lets him place down 3 traps total that stun for 10 seconds. This duration can be shortened though by either getting a hit when in a trap, or if your teammates help you in disarm it and let you escape. Also keep in mind this ability can only be used when you're currently holding your axe. When you're not holding your axe, you actually use his next ability, which is Scream. If you ever played Die of Death, the Scream works very similarly to Pursuers, which reveals all survivors' locations and gives you back 25 stamina, also blinding all survivors near. Upon using the Scream move though, you unlock your last ability, which is Charge. This ability lets you use as much stamina as you have and lets you start straight running at survivors, and if you grab one, you'll jump scare them and deal 30% of their current HP. So keep in mind, in order to get this ability, you need to first throw your axe, then you Scream, and finally you're able to use Charge. And as you play, you'll be able to figure out some combos like axe throw into Scream, into Charge, into a punch while they're on the floor. But it's all practice and it's going to be stuff you're going to be needing to get used to. The next killer I have info on is the Mimic, which is one I sadly could not play against since unlocking him was hard. Unlike Springtrap, the Mimic costs 4,500 scrap and has 3,000 health, 12 speed, and 21 run speed, with 80 stamina, which makes him slower than Springtrap, but still has 10 more stamina than him. The basic attack does 44 damage in base mode, and that's a very important part to remember. Since this is the Mimic, of course, there are 3 modes that you can play as, which is the Strength mode, which gives you all the stats I listed earlier, the Speed mode, which gives you 75% less damage, but you get a 15% speed boost, but you also lose 50% of your stamina, and you recover it 50% slower. For the Stealth mode, you become undetectable at the cost of 25% less damage, but this killer is very adaptable as you would expect. The Mimic also has a Leap ability, which does 25 damage to everyone who is in the area when it happens. Since I cannot unlock this killer, I will directly read these next abilities for you and let you think about what you believe they do. This ability is a grab, which grabs the person in front of you, and you are able to use this drill stab follow-up that does 20 damage. You can also use this drill to dig into the ground and become invisible, and it reveals all players and does 32 damage upon exit. With all the killers out of the way, our next thing to talk about is the survivors, which you'll mostly be playing as. In Bite by Night, the starter character you play as is the Customer, and they have a basic stats of 100 health, 12 speed, 24 run speed, and 100 stamina, which is the same for all your survivors. They are your ordinary survivalist with 2 really easy to understand abilities. Pizza will heal you for 20% of your missing health, and Drink is a speed boost that lets you move quicker. And when it runs out, you get a slowness debuff. There isn't really much to say about them, but that's the basic template for surviving in this game. Medic is able to be bought with 400 of the in-game currency and has 2 abilities you need to know. Heal lets you, as you can guess, heal other players, where you'll bandage them up in an animation, doing 5 healing per tick. If you get interrupted, then you won't be able to heal anyone for a while until your cooldown is back. For the second ability, this is similar to the first, but instead, you'll heal yourself. The stats for this character are also the same, and this goes for all of them, but this is a perfect character for those people who like to play as a perfect support for their team. If you want to fight back to survive in Bite by Night, then you need to play as the fighter. If you have ever played Guest of Forsaken, then you'll really like this character. The first ability is Swing, which gives you a 3.5 second stun and a lunge when you use this ability. In order to actually use this stun though, you first need to land a parry, which grants you charges to use this ability. This ability also scales based on how many charges you have, and has different effects, but does not say directly what. If you successfully land a parry though, you'll be able to stun the killer for 1.5 seconds. But if you miss, then you'll get weakness applied to you and take more damage based on the opening that you had left. Our last character to talk about is the Security Guard, which is the support of Bite by Night, and it creates others' openings by using a taser and a camera. The 2 abilities are Taser, which lets you charge your shot, and on fire and contact with the killer will slow them heavily, and it scales based on how much you can charge it. The next ability is cameras, which lets you look through available cameras on the map, and if you spot the killer, you're able to mark them, letting everyone on your team know where they are, and this makes them a pretty good support. As you can guess with most FNAF games, your goal is to survive until 6 AM. While this may take a while, there are some things you can do to speed this process up. There's some objectives in the game that help speed up the time, like generators that have a unique process of completing them. First, when you get on, you'll have to match the colors to the other half, and once you complete this, then you have to make sure that all the lights in this new tab are on. After the lights are on, the last step is to press this thing, taking your cursor and moving it up and down, pulling it, and you'll complete one step of the generator. This is a whole lot more time consuming than other asym games, but the reward for completing a whole generator is a lot of time taken off the game. Unlike other asyms though, this game also doesn't end when you run out of time, and instead there's an exit you need to run to, which can throw a lot of people off. Some maps may only have one while others can have multiple, but this is something to keep in mind when planning your escape and waiting for the timer to go down. Another important mechanic to understand is the door barricading one, which puts you in a fight against the killer where you must keep your mouse in the middle of the screen like pandemonium from pressure. If you lose this fight against the killer, the door will be destroyed and you'll get knocked back, taking damage and being vulnerable to another hit. While you're holding this door though, your stamina does regen, so I would recommend not holding the door until it is destroyed and instead just using it to get the stamina back and leaving it so you can always come back to it later and try to survive. From what I've seen, there are 3 maps for you to play, maybe more on a release, I'm not sure, but they feel really well crafted. The models for the animatronics also feel great, and you can tell that this isn't a slop cash grab or one of those games that claim to be a joke like, Viewers Homer. And it just feels like a really refreshing thing to play. I really think a lot of you will like this since the atmosphere and the music are so great and it uses a beloved IP. I will warn you though, an issue I was facing a lot, and I'm not sure if this is going to be fixed by the time the game publicly releases, but the hitboxes, they were a little crazy at times, and it felt really hard to process that it hit. But besides that, that's probably the only criticism I can give to this game. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm really glad that there's some competition in hitting the asym sing, since it felt a little stale after, the Outcome Memories incident and the Forsaken stuff. It's always happening. And pretty much that's all the things you need to know how to do in the game. I made sure to leave out a lot of details that are fun for you to figure out, but giving you enough that you need to know how to play the game and don't go in there completely blind. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subbing, and I'm really excited to be able to make more videos like this. Keep in mind though that all the things in the video are subject to change, and there's gonna be added content upon release that I didn't cover. I hope this guide finds you well, and good luck surviving out there. And let's just say on release day, make sure you're looking at the killer list, because something might change. I don't know. Just pointing it out.